with me. It's Bible story time.
Hi there, little ones. Are you ready for an amazing adventure? Today, we'll hear a true story from the Bible, all about a man named Noah and a very big boat. Long, long ago, the world was full of people, but they were not listening to God. Only one man still loved and obeyed him. His name was Noah.
But why didn't they listen, Ben? Didn't they know God loved them?
Ah, Luna, sometimes people forget. That's why it's so important to keep our hearts open. God said to Noah, "Build a big boat." Noah didn't ask why. He just said, "Yes, Lord." He trusted God with all his heart.
Wait, a big boat? That must have cost a lot of wood. Wasn't he worried about saving his stuff?
Mimi. Noah didn't worry about things. He knew obeying God was more important than saving for himself. Noah worked hard. He sawed and hammered and built a great big ark. People laughed at him, but Noah kept building.
I would have yelled back at those mean people.
Oh, Bea. Noah stayed calm. He knew being patient and faithful was stronger than anger.
Must have been nice to have all that help. I wish I had people to build things for me.
Everyone helped in their own way, Theo. But Noah led with trust. Then, the animals came, 2 by 2. Elephants, giraffes, monkeys, and even tiny ants. God brought them to Noah, and they walked right into the ark.
Whoa, did he bring snacks for all those animals? That's a lot of mouths to feed.
Don't worry, Guto. God made sure there was enough food for everyone.
Did the peacocks look this fabulous, Ben?
Oh yes, Vivi. They walked in proudly, just like you. The sky grew dark. The rain began to fall. It rained and rained for 40 days and 40 nights. But inside the boat, Noah, his family, and all the animals were safe.
40 nights of rain. I'd just stay curled up and nap the whole time.
Rest is important, Nino. But Noah also stayed alert, making sure everyone was safe. Then one day the rain stopped. The sun came out. Noah opened the window. "Look," he said. "Dry land."
So, did the other people get a second chance?
No, Theo, but this was a new beginning, a fresh start for the world, and a lesson to always choose what is right. God put a beautiful rainbow in the sky. "This is my promise," God said. "I will always care for the world I made."
Do rainbows always mean something special, Ben?
Yes, Vivi. They remind us that God keeps his promises.
Oh, I love that part.
And that's the story of Noah and the great big boat. Remember, when we obey God, he takes care of us too. Hey there, my little explorers. Are you ready for a big story today? Like, giant big? Today, we're going to talk about a young boy named David and how he faced a giant without fear because he trusted God. Let's dive in. A long time ago, the people of Israel were at war, but their enemy had someone scary on their side, a giant named Goliath. He was taller than a tree, stronger than a lion, and louder than thunder. Every day he came out to shout at God's people, "Who dares fight me? Come on, I'm waiting!"
I bet everyone was staring at him. He probably loved being the center of attention.
He did, Luna, but not in a good way. Goliath wanted people to be afraid, not inspired. God doesn't care about how many people are watching us. He cares if our hearts are full of love and courage. For 40 days, Goliath came out yelling, and for 40 days, the army of Israel stayed silent and scared. But then, one day, a young boy arrived at the camp. His name? David. He wasn't a soldier, he was a shepherd. He was just there to bring food to his brothers.
Wait, food? What kind of snacks? Like bread and cheese? Maybe some grapes?
Ha, yes, Guto, probably just that. David wasn't looking for a fight. He was just doing a kind chore. But when he heard Goliath shouting, he asked, "Why is no one stopping him? Don't you know God is with us?" Everyone laughed. "You're just a kid," they said. But David believed that with God, he could do anything.
Ugh, why does he get to be so brave? I wish I could be the chosen one sometimes.
Theo, God doesn't choose by looks or age. He sees what's inside your heart. When we stop comparing and trust God, he can do amazing things through us too. The king tried to give David armor and a sword, but it was way too big and heavy. So David took only his sling and 5 smooth stones from the river.
Only 5? I'd keep 20. Just in case.
Haha, I know you like to save, Mimi, but David didn't need more than what God had already given him. He wasn't afraid of running out. He trusted God would provide exactly what he needed. David walked out onto the field, facing the giant alone. Goliath laughed and growled, "You? You're just a child." But David stood tall and said, "You come with a sword, but I come in the name of the Lord."
Oh, I would have yelled even louder, like, "Back off, giant!"
He could have been. But David didn't need to scream. His strength was quiet and peaceful because it came from faith, not fear or anger. Then, David ran forward. He took 1 stone, placed it in his sling. He spun it once, twice, 3 times. Whoosh! The stone flew through the air and hit Goliath right in the forehead. Thud! The giant fell, shaking the ground. The army of Israel jumped and cheered.
Whoa. I guess now everyone expected David to do all the work?
David did his part, Nino. But after his brave step, everyone else found their courage too. Sometimes one small, brave heart can inspire a crowd. That day, God's people learned something important. It's not about swords, size, or strength. It's about trusting God and doing what's right, even when you feel small.
So I don't need to be the strongest or prettiest to be brave. Even if I look perfect, the best thing is to have a strong heart.
Exactly, Vivi. What shines the most is a heart full of faith and love. And that, my friends, is the story of David and the giant. No matter how big your problem seems, with God on your side, you can face any giant. Hey there, my little explorers. Ready for another amazing story? This one has kings, laws, traps, and lions. Let me tell you about a man named Daniel, a man whose faith was stronger than fear. Daniel lived in Babylon, far from his homeland. But even there, he never forgot the most important part of his life: God. Every single day, Daniel opened his window, faced Jerusalem, and prayed. Morning, noon, night. He talked to God like a best friend.
Even when his outfit wasn't perfect or his hair wasn't brushed, I'd want to look my best to talk to God.
Vivi, God doesn't care about clothes or makeup. He looks at our hearts. And Daniel's heart? It was faithful and true. Daniel worked for King Darius, and he was so wise and kind that the king planned to put him in charge of the whole kingdom. But not everyone was happy about that.
Of course, he gets picked again. I mean, what about the rest of us?
I get it, Theo. But envy makes our hearts small. Instead of comparing, we can ask God to help us grow with joy, not jealousy. Some other officials were jealous. They looked for ways to trap Daniel, but they found nothing. No lies, no stealing, no cheating. So they came up with a plan, a sneaky, unfair plan. They told the king, "Make a new law, your majesty. For 30 days, no one can pray to any god or person but you." The king, not realizing the trap, agreed and signed the law.
Wait, no one could pray to anyone else? What if I just wanted someone to hear me for once?
Luna, God always hears you, even when no one else does. And Daniel knew that too. So what did Daniel do when he heard about the law? He walked upstairs, opened his windows just like always, and prayed. He didn't hide. He didn't pretend. He stayed faithful. The jealous men ran to tell the king, and when the king heard, his heart sank. He liked Daniel. He spent all day trying to save him, but the law couldn't be changed.
That's so wrong. I'd yell at those men. I'd throw them to the lions instead.
I know, B. Anger can feel powerful, but Daniel didn't fight or shout. He trusted that God was in control. At sunset, the king gave the order. Daniel was brought to the lion's den. Before the stone was rolled across, the king whispered, "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you." That night the lions were hungry, but God sent an angel, a glowing, mighty angel, who shut the lions' mouths.
Hold up! No food all night? That's worse than the lions.
Ha ha, Guto. Daniel fed his faith that night, not his stomach. God gave him peace instead of fear. Meanwhile, the king couldn't sleep. He didn't eat, he didn't laugh. He just worried and waited for the sun to rise. As soon as morning came, he ran to the den and shouted, "Daniel, has your God saved you?" And from inside came a voice, "My God sent his angel. I am safe, not a scratch on me."
He didn't even keep a backup plan. I'd have brought a flashlight, snacks, and maybe a rope, just in case.
Ha ha! You're always thinking ahead, Mimi. But Daniel trusted that God would give him exactly what he needed. The king was so amazed, he made a new law. Everyone must respect the God of Daniel. He rescues, he saves, his kingdom lasts forever.
So, Daniel didn't do anything? No running? No shouting? No fighting?
Nope, Nino. Sometimes the bravest things is to stand still and trust.
So, even if everyone's looking at me, what really shines is what's inside, not my feathers, but my faith.
Exactly, Vivi. God isn't impressed by sparkle. He's moved by trust and truth. And that, my friends, is the story of Daniel and the lion's den. A story of faith, courage, and quiet strength. Even when things seem scary, even when you feel alone, God is with you, always. Never stop praying, never stop trusting, and never forget, with God, you are never truly in the den alone. Hey there, little heroes. Today's story isn't about kings or lions. It's about a brave woman named Ruth and her heart that chose love, even in pain. Ruth lived far from Israel. She didn't know about God until she met Naomi and her family. She married Naomi's son and became part of a family that loved God deeply. But then, Naomi's husband died, then both her sons. Naomi and Ruth were left alone, sad and without a home.
Did she get to keep all the gifts from the wedding? I mean, after he died?
Oh, Mimi. When someone we love goes away, things don't really matter. What stays is love. And Ruth had a lot of it.
Figures. Ruth gets all the attention. What about the other women in the story?
I hear your heart, Theo. But envy turns our eyes away from what we can become. Ruth wasn't looking to shine. She was choosing to serve. Naomi told Ruth, "You're young. Stay in Moab. Start over." But Ruth said something beautiful. "Where you go, I'll go. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God."
So, she just wanted to stay close? Maybe she just didn't want to be alone.
That's a fair thought, Luna. But Ruth's love wasn't just needy, it was loyal. She didn't cling to Naomi because she feared being alone. She chose her because love protects. They went to Bethlehem, tired, dusty, with nothing. Ruth went to work in the fields, picking leftover grain.
Wait, she picked up scraps? No bakery? No fresh bread? No cheese?
Ha ha! Guto, Ruth wasn't focused on comfort. She focused on care. She gave up ease to fill Naomi's plate. Then came Boaz, a kind man who owned the field. He noticed Ruth's heart, not her clothes or her past. He told his workers, "Let her gather safely. Leave extra grain for her."
But was she at least looking okay? I mean, working in the dirt? She could have fixed her hair first.
Vivi, beauty isn't in the braids or blush. Ruth's beauty was in her kindness, her courage, and her heart. Time passed, and Boaz married Ruth. They built a family full of love, and one day, her great-great-grandson was born, David, the shepherd king.
Wait, so she did all that work just to wait around for years?
Not wait, live. Nino, When we do good with love and patience, God writes beautiful endings.
But what about the people who hurt them? Why didn't Ruth scream or complain?
I know, B. Sometimes yelling feels easier than trusting, but Ruth chose peace, and God honored her quiet strength. And that, my friends, is the story of Ruth. A woman who didn't run, didn't shout, but stayed loyal, stayed kind, stayed full of faith. So when life feels unfair, when you want to give up, remember Ruth, and remember this: God sees loyalty, He blesses love, and He can turn even the hardest days into stories of grace. Hey, little heroes. Today's story is about a woman who trusted God and helped an entire nation do the same. Her name? Deborah, a woman of wisdom, faith, and courage. At that time, the people of Israel were far from God. Enemies were attacking. Life was hard. But there was one person who listened closely to God: Deborah.
Wait, was she the queen or something? Did she have a beautiful dress and shiny crown?
Not at all, Vivi. Deborah sat under a tree, a palm tree. She didn't care about crowns. She cared about hearing God's voice. People came from all over to ask her what to do. She helped them solve problems and reminded them to trust in the Lord.
So, she was never lonely? Everyone came to talk to her?
Deborah's joy wasn't in being noticed, Luna. It was in helping others follow God. That's what made her special. One day, Deborah sent a message to a man named Barak. She said, "God wants you to lead the army and defeat the enemy." But Barak was afraid.
Why her? Why does she get to be the one giving orders?
Because God gave her wisdom, Theo. Leadership isn't about being first. It's about helping others trust God. Barak told her, "I'll go to battle, but only if you go too." And Deborah said calmly, "I will go. But God will show His power in a way no one expects."
If I were there, I'd charge into battle first. Let's get things done already.
I know you like action, B, but Deborah knew when to wait and when to move. She trusted God's timing, not her own. So the army went out. The enemy had strong horses and iron chariots. But then a storm came, thunder, rain. The ground turned to mud, and the enemy got stuck.
Hold on. She didn't throw a rock or swing a sword? That was it?
That was enough, Nino. Deborah trusted that God would do what she couldn't, and He did. In the end, a woman named Jael helped stop the enemy commander, and peace returned to Israel.
Okay, but did Deborah get a reward, like gold or a fancy new house?
No gold, Mimi. Deborah sang a song to praise God. That was her joy. She gave the credit to Him.
No feast. I mean, a little bread and honey to celebrate wouldn't hurt.
Haha, maybe there was, Guto. But Deborah's biggest celebration was knowing she had obeyed. And that's the story of Deborah, a woman who didn't chase power, didn't shout, didn't boast. She simply listened to God and led with faith. So remember, little ones, you don't have to be loud to be strong. You don't need a title to make a difference. Just keep your heart open and your ears tuned to God. See you next time, little heroes. Bye-bye.
The Virtues Crew is here to play with faith